A stranger's kindness changed her life, but fate had one more surprise. At 24 years old, Ethan Parker had built a life that, from the outside, seemed perfect. He worked as a junior architect in a well-known firm in New York City, spent his days designing towering structures, and dreamed of making a name for himself in the industry. But beneath the surface, his life was routine: wake up, work long hours, come home to an empty apartment, and repeat. He was so caught up in chasing success that he rarely stopped to notice the world around him. That was until one bitter December evening, when something, or rather, someone, made him pause. As he hurried toward the subway station after an exhausting day, he noticed a figure sitting against the cold stone wall. A woman, wrapped in layers of mismatched clothing, her fingers red from the biting wind. A small cardboard sign sat beside her. "Anything helps. God bless." Her name was Lillian Brooks, and at just 28 years old, life had already been unimaginably cruel to her. There was something haunting about her presence. She wasn't begging, wasn't calling out for help. She just sat there, staring at the passing crowd with an expression that wasn't desperation, but exhaustion. Ethan hesitated. He was late. He was tired. He could have kept walking, like everyone else. But something made him stop. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a few crumpled bills, placing them in her gloved hands. She looked up at him, surprised, and for a moment, their eyes met. There was gratitude, but there was also something else, a silent question. Instead of leaving, he did something he had never done before. He asked her if she had eaten. She hesitated but eventually nodded, and he offered to buy her a meal. They walked together to a small cafe nearby, where the warmth of the indoors made her shiver as she adjusted to it. Ethan watched as she carefully wrapped her hands around the cup of hot coffee, as if trying to absorb the heat into her very soul. Over that meal, she told him pieces of her story. She had once been a promising artist, with a passion for painting that had set her apart. But life hadn't been kind. She lost her parents in an accident, fell into financial ruin, and one wrong turn led to another. Before she knew it, she had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. Yet, even as she spoke, there was something about her, a quiet resilience. A spark that had not been completely extinguished. Ethan listened, not just out of sympathy, but genuine interest. She had dreams once. She still had them, buried under years of hardship. When they parted ways that night, he didn't just leave her with a warm meal. He left her with something more powerful: hope. Ethan checked on her whenever he could. He helped her find temporary shelter, connected her with organizations that supported struggling artists, and even gave her a set of sketchbooks and paints. She hadn't picked up a brush in years, but something in his faith in her made her try again. Then, life moved forward. Ethan's career took off. He received a promotion, then another. He moved to a different city for a bigger opportunity, and his days became even busier. Eventually, the memory of that winter night, of Lillian, faded into the background. But for Lillian, that moment had changed everything. She threw herself into her art, pouring years of pain, struggle, and untold stories into every stroke of her brush. Slowly, people noticed. A small exhibition led to a bigger one. Her work resonated, and soon, she was no longer just surviving, she was thriving. By 34, Ethan was now a well-established architect, recognized in his industry. One day, he received an invitation to an exclusive art gala. He wasn't someone who usually attended such events, but curiosity, and something else he couldn't quite name, led him there. As he entered the grand exhibition hall, his eyes immediately landed on a painting. It was breathtaking. The colors, the emotions, the depth. It was a story told through canvas. And then, he saw the name beneath it. Lillian Brooks. She was there, standing in the center of a room filled with admirers, art critics, and collectors. No longer the woman struggling to stay warm on a winter night. She was successful, radiant, and completely in her element. For a moment, she didn't see him. Then, their eyes met, and she smiled. Later that night, as they spoke, she told him everything. How his kindness that night saved her in more ways than one. How his belief in her reignited something inside her that she thought was lost forever. But then, she revealed something else. Ethan hadn't just been invited to an art gala. He was the guest of honor. Because Lillian had done something more than just build her own success, she had used it to give back. She had created a foundation that supported struggling artists and individuals experiencing homelessness. And that night, she was presenting an award to someone whose one small act of kindness had started it all, Ethan Parker. As he stood there, overwhelmed, he realized something he had never fully understood before. Kindness doesn't just change the lives of those who receive it. It transforms the lives of those who give it. And sometimes, the most unexpected connections lead to the most powerful destinies.